Thank you very much, Victor, for joining me today. Hopefully we can understand a bit more about your background and maybe come up with some tips for the beginners in IT, right? So
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you very much.
welcome.
Yeah, so let me just introduce you to our audience, right? So Victor Jesudasan is a specialist software engineer with over 20 years of experience, has worked with several critical projects both in India and in the US, and currently leads a team responsible for decoupling monolithic solutions. Is that right?
Yes, I worked for companies in Germany, Netherlands, Finland. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's understand a bit more about your experience here, right? So where are you from?
I'm originally from Mumbai, India, born and raised there, but now currently I live in Houston, Texas.
I see. So you decided to move from India to the US, like long
Yes,
ago?
almost 20 years
20
now.
years. Oh. And since when do you work in IT?
I think I started studying computers when I finished my 12th grade. That was in 1993. And from between that to 97, I just on and off, being a teenager, doing a lot of things. And then actually I started focusing on it was in 97. And then my first job was in 99. So since 1999 till now, I've been working 26 years.
I
Yeah.
see. Awesome. And was IT your first choice when you started, or was there a different thing that you used to do at the beginning?
No, my background was what I was studying was finance and economics.
I see.
And I was doing college and I was working as sales rep, and I was doing some odd business myself. I dabbled around a lot of things, and at one point I was a college dropout.
I see. But what made you change from that area to IT?
So that's funny. So as I was college dropout, I wasn't focused on my studies. I was just working and focused on making money. And I think during the 90s, there was a big dot-com boom plus the Y2K. So everybody was going into IT and it was a trend. And I had some IT background, like studying programming and stuff. I had that background, but never seriously focused. One of my cousin, he came to the US at that time and he kind of motivated me to get into it. So that time I said, okay, let me focus on it. So I quit my job. I started focusing on college, and that's how I changed.
I see.
It was not so easy. It was very, very hard. One of the hardest things I did in life. Yeah.
Okay, good. And talking about college and degrees, I mean, comparing the formal education versus the self-learning, is that really necessary to have a bachelor degree, for example, for someone that is getting into IT?
I think a lot of times when you are 14, 15, 16 years old, I think we tend to pick career based on what our friends did or what, at that point in time, we actually don't know what we want to, I just picked finance and economics because it was easier than science and math. That was my idea, not just because I liked economics, but I ended up liking it. But that was my way. So a lot of times in my experience, I've seen people might have formal education. For example, they went to a engineering college, studied engineering degree, but they lack the analytic skills, or they lack something that they don't become a good engineer, and they get frustrated and then drop out. It's not just engineering. I've seen in my experience, I've seen people who go to medical school or want to become a teacher, and they find out, hey, they don't have the patience to deal with the kids. Or so formal education doesn't always define who you become successful as.
Exactly.
In my own story, I have finance with accounting and economics degree, and I'm here in IT for 25 years, and successful.
Yeah. But if you had to restart your career, let's say, or if you had children, would you recommend them to enroll in a bachelor degree first, or are there any other available options?
So degree, if anybody can get formal education and degree, they should get it, There are a lot of times circumstance doesn't allow, but if you should do it because it gives a responsibility and you learn a lot of things in school, and you become independent. So you should always get a formal education. But, if I would recommend what exactly, you want to be, and always keep options, not just like pick one I want to go and then you find out that you are not up to it, or you don't like it. So
if you had to, as I said, restart your career at this point, what would you choose now to learn first? What is the most important thing for someone that is about to start in their...
You mean in IT, or in
general? Yeah, software engineer.
Yeah. If they want to come for IT, if I knew my background and education that didn't teach a soft skill, like how to communicate or how to present yourself or how to take notes, those kind of soft skill was never taught in school. In India especially, it's not something they teach you. So I learned it after I started working, and I picked it up from other people. But if I have to, I wish I had that initially. Then I would have progressed much faster, and I could have had opportunities, many more different opportunities than I didn't.
I see. So
because
okay,
yeah.
So you're saying that maybe besides the technical aspect, you should also invest in some behavioral or
like the writing skill, talking skill, listening skill, all those things. And you have to it's a 50-50, or I would say it's more than 50-50, because when you are doing a technical thing, most times you are alone, you are doing it alone. But when other times you are communicating, in some sort of documentation, writing, and people don't focus on that part, and it hinders them when they actually go to work, and that becomes a struggle.
Okay. So it means that even if you're an excellent technical professional, you can't take it by granted that you will be a very well recognized professional, right?
Yes. End of the day, you are a lot of times you are talking to people who are not so technical, and to get your point across to them, and the stakeholders, they are not technical, the customers, they are not technical. And if you are in a position where you are talking to those people, you need to have those skills where they feel confident.
Yeah, makes sense. And now, understanding a bit more about your previous experiences, what was the most challenging project that you worked on? Could you share some details about it?
There are few, of course, my first job, because I had no idea what to expect, and it was a .com boom time company, and it was a company not in a formal office setup. It was in a bungalow, and we were working crazy. We enjoyed it, but it was not so, a formal office where you go to, and then being a first job, you had no idea what to expect. So it was kind of nerve-wracking, initially. Yeah. But then I got to it. I think everybody will feel that, that was a challenge, because never worked in a formal office like that. So, with my own background, being salesperson and doing a retail business and being an outdoor person, going into an office and working, that was like very challenging for me.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any last tip for someone that is, getting into the area?
Also, I want to add one more from my challenge was like when that was in the US. After coming to the US, I was part of a startup. The company was started in a living room, and we eventually grew out to be 10 people company, and I was with that company for 14 years, and for a long time I was the only one programmer, and I built every software single-handedly. Yeah, so when we started, initially we had no idea what we are going to develop, and then we found out that we need to, within few days we found out that we need to develop a content management system. For example, today what you see like a WordPress or something like that, and along with a e-commerce website, like a product, I built those two single-handedly. That was very, very challenging and demanding, and not only long hours, but it was like keeping the software up to date, up to the standards that is expected. And a lot of times the challenge was you being alone, you always wonder if what you have done is up to the standard, So that was like a real challenge, So I have to like go back and recheck and assure I am up to the standard. If there is an audit, everything is in place, especially with e-commerce, So that was very, very challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it is really hard to develop, applications when you have a good team with you. So I can't really imagine how that was to develop that big thing just by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Very challenging. Really cool. Do you have any tips to share, like important tips or any recommendations for someone that is starting?
Also, especially for beginners or somebody who is switching career, like what they think is like, if they think of IT, people usually think, most times they think is coding or programming, but in IT there are so many things: designer, UI designer, developer, tester, testing, security, network engineer, DBA, database programming, data scientist, data analytics. It's like on and on. So many things are there, but people have to, a lot of times they don't know. Okay. So if your career challenge, you need to know what is your strength. Some people are very good with the analysis, working with the numbers, or, like they can be a data scientist or DBAs or SQL, because they could be good with the query, People who are a bit artistic, they can be a designer, UI designer, People with good language, like writing skill, they can be technical writers, There are so many things, people need to first find out where they fit in. A lot of times I've seen people just go like do some crash course, some kind of thing, and they think they can go jump in, and it doesn't go along well with their strength or their personality to do what they are doing, and they kind of then resent it. Yeah. So best is to like take time to analyze where your strength lies and study that, and then you can find a job that suits you, and then you can be successful.
Exactly. That makes total sense, because as I said, we have so many different roles in the area, and they are very different, right? They require some different skill sets. So
and different personality, like exactly. How you are,
This can be frustrating in the long term for the person, right?
Yes, yeah.
Good tip. Really good, really good. Yeah, so I think that's all. Thank you very much for the quick conversation, Victor. I really enjoyed that. Really great tips for the beginners, and that's it. Thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.